What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome back to another video here on Pig City Hockey, and today we're going to be talking again about the upcoming trade deadline because there's just news coming out of everywhere about the Jets, left, right, and center, and it's really fun to be talking about all of this. I love being an armchair GM, just as a lot of you guys do as well, so it's always fun to see a new rumor come across my screen and just to go through it and kind of see, does this make sense? Could it happen? And just imagine the potential options. So welcome back to the video, and today we're going to be talking about the Vancouver Canucks because the Vancouver Canucks are a absolute mess. We know that all the drama between Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, but today we're going to be focusing on a kind of forgotten star on that team right now, it seems like, and that is Brock Boeser, and his name is being tossed around the news a lot more lately. He is an upcoming unrestricted free agent, and with the midst of all the shit going on in Vancouver right now, the locker room drama, the struggling on and off the ice, it seems, Brock Boeser, his time in Vancouver, it might be, up soon. We're starting to see his name really get out there in trade news more often. It looks like the Canucks and his camp might be further away from a contract than it expected. I saw this article the other day on Pro Hockey Rumors, and I just got me thinking about, could Brock Boeser really be a potential add for this team come trade deadline? It looks like there hasn't been any real progression on the Brock Boeser front. He's also, he was injured there for 12 games as well, thanks to that hit by Tanner Jeannot. But nonetheless, though, he is without a doubt one of their best players on the team this year, I think. And he has been kind of one of the more underrated, consistent players on the Canucks the last couple of years, just because of the star power in JT Miller and Pettersson in the seasons that they've had, along with Quinn Hughes and Demko as well, But with that being said, the Jets have been tied to him as a potential, if he is available, to look at him as a potential trade option. And if that contract isn't signed, I fully expect the Canucks to move on from him at the trade deadline. So until anything obviously moves on that front, we won't know for sure whether or not he is 100% will be traded or not. But at this time, it seems like the Canucks are open to all options, and this is a guy that's had a very solid career. He's having a very, very good season and has had a very good couple of seasons the last few years. All of his advanced stats are exactly where you want a second, first-line guy that you'd be trading for. He's fast, he's got skill, he's got a great heavy shot. Throughout his whole career, he's been pretty solid. He has never really been that, he's always been an impact player, really, in my opinion. He's always one of my favorite players in the Canucks in his time here, and his contract at $6.650 million is expiring this year, so it's an affordable cap hit when you think about it. So if the Jets are going into the deadline and they're looking at acquiring a forward, because we've now seen some articles that came out the other day that the Jets might not be looking, at trading for a center anymore. They've been looking at Adam Lowry might be that guy. So when you look at the lines right now, I could definitely see bringing in an experienced winger instead of maybe a center if the Jets are looking to, really promote from within and use the guys they have in different roles. Adam Lowry's been playing great as of late on that second line with Nikolai Ehlers. They've been showing a ton of chemistry, so I don't think you break that line up even when Nemestikov gets healthy again. But, imagine a guy like Brock Boeser playing with Ehlers, Lowry, and Boeser on that second line. I think that would be a very, very good skilled second line, with defensive abilities, a lot of offensive upside, and a lot of good puck possession as well. Boeser can crash the net well. He's got a great shot. Ehlers has the speed and can fly through the neutral zone. Adam Lowry is great on the face-off draw and is reliable in the corners and behind the net, and a great net front presence, one of the best net front presence in the NHL. So, when I look at the way that the center core is now, and even with the addition of Nemestikov after his injury and he's healed, and the potential of adding a winger on this team instead of, potentially a center, because the Canucks do have Pettersson available, they do have JT Miller available, but I don't think either of those guys necessarily, would be as impactful as some fans think. Don't get me wrong, Pettersson's an elite all-star player, and JT Miller is very serviceable as well, but I don't like their contracts one bit, even retained, and I don't like all the drama that we're seeing with the Canucks. I don't really want to trade for a diva that's having a really, kind of mediocre year when Brock Boeser is sitting there, who's might also be available, that would be just as effective as of an add to any contending team. He's been like the consistent guy in the locker room that's just trying to keep things going straight, of course it seems. He's not been the guy in the news. He hasn't been in the headlines about any real drama. It's just been Miller and Pettersson, and I don't really want to trade for a guy that's in the news for bad locker room drama and all that stuff, especially when things are going so well in the room, it seems, for the Jets as of late the last couple of years. So I don't want to see them bring that in. And if they really are looking at promoting Lowry, I think that adding a legit, winger to this team might be the way to go. We talked about it the other day in my most recent video about how Lowry might be the guy moving forward at that second line center spot because of the chemistry. So if that's the case, why not, maybe shift from the center position to the winger position that might actually be just a little bit cheaper and a better deal for you comes deadline time spending-wise? Because also, let's be real, the Winnipeg Jets need some defense. Without a doubt, they need some defense. They've already been tied to a few defensemen we've talked about in past videos. Ryan Lindgren on the New York Rangers, he's been tied to the Jets a lot as of late, and for good reason. The Rangers are probably blowing it up, so I expect to see him get moved to the deadline, absolutely. And if he is available, I think the Jets would definitely be calling on him. We've also seen some reports with Brian Dumoulin on the Anaheim Ducks, who might be a potential option. That's a two-time Stanley Cup champion with Pittsburgh a few years ago, so, trading for a veteran presence like that can't go wrong. And then Rasmus Ristolainen, the guy we've been tied to pretty much since 2019 at the deadline, he's still available. We're getting lots of, conversation about him as of late in the hockey world, potentially going up north to join Winnipeg. And, we also talked recently about trading for a guy, at the center's position, that might not be that would be expensive, right? That's what it comes down to. If you're going to be trading for, a Barzal, for a Pettersson, the contracts on these guys are massive. And Barzal, absolutely, I think I would like to add him. But, if you're also looking at adding a center, and that's kind of where you want to go, maybe adding a depth centerman for cheap, hint, hint, Jonathan Toews, if he's willing to sign and he pass all of his stuff, that might be the way to go as well. There are plenty of paths for the Jets to go come trade deadline this year that they haven't necessarily done in years past that might be the better option. Trade for a good winger instead of a center, promote within, acquire a depth centerman for the bottom six to really help shore things up with playoff experience, and spend on a defenseman, because you don't want Logan Stanley in the lineup come playoff time, Chevy. You don't. And I trust Chevy. He's been good at making trades in years past. You look at the DeMello trade. I think that was a great deadline swing a few years ago. Maybe they do something like that again. I would really like to see that. But again, if Brock Boeser is available, I'm starting to really like the idea of trading for Boeser, adding to that second line with Lowry and Ehlers, getting a defenseman on the market with the other assets you save on, instead of going for a guy of the pedigree of a Barzal, of a Pettersson. Boeser is going to be expensive, not as expensive of those guys, because he's also a UFA. So if that's the case, get Boeser. Go and get a cheap centerman on the market for the playoffs to shore things up defensively. Get a responsible defenseman to push Stanley out of the lineup. I think that could be a very good path to really improving this Winnipeg Jets team. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, would you like to see Boeser added to this club? Do you think it makes sense for them to go the route that I'm talking about, winger, lower tier centerman, and then going in on a defenseman? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, this is your first video. Subscribe. Check out all the links down in the description below. Peace and positivity as always. Go Jets, go. I'll see you all in the next one very, very soon. It'll all be over.